Hello and welcome to Cyber One Certification and Training. If you're part of our certification program, then you'll know that there is an exercise to complete following this video, and you can find that, of course, in our training site at train.cyberonerisk.com. If you're here for training purposes only, but you're interested in learning more about certification and how to become a Cyber One specialist, then you can reach out to your account manager or contact us at support@cb1security.com. Okay, so let's get started. Today we're going to be looking at issue management, and we're going to be going through the risk mitigation workflow. We'll start with creating a finding notification and sending out that notification for response, how to respond to that finding in our best-in-class light user portal, and then how to monitor the responses back in your management platform and create dashboards where you can see your risk in real time and have continuous monitoring across your system. All right, so let's start in the management platform today, and let's send out the finding notification. So here we are in the management platform, and as you can see, I'm in the issue management module, and I've got the findings tab open where I can track all of my issues, active issues as they come in. Notice that we can track them by the different source types. They can come in from multiple sources, whether that's a vendor assessment, self-identified, or maybe from compliance review. You can track the response status, whether they've actually been responded to or not, and what that response is, and where the status of the actual finding is. You can change these field views up very easily just by going into the edit mode in our system and adding the fields that you want to see. I've added the most popular ones here. So back in our findings list, you can see I've actually created a new finding here. What I'm going to do is just add the source type now. I'm going to call it self-identified as it was me. And now I'm going to send out a notification for it. Now, again, we can do this by automation and send out bulk findings as needed. When you can also do this as well, you can select the findings that you want to send out if they have the same primary contact and just send from the field view list. Otherwise, if you just want to send it out one at a time, as I am here, I'm just going to go into the record. I'm going to check that it's going to the correct primary contact, check the status and everything is correct here. All of the information that I need is in the finding. And then I will do send email notification directly from the record. Okay, so as I click that, you can see that my system notifies me that the notification has been sent successfully. And now if I go into the email, I'm going to see that notification has come to me. And this is basically what it looks like. Of course, we can white label these emails for you. And you see that I've just got a little bit of information about the finding. We try not to put too much information in the notifications so that you can maintain an audit trail for the most important information. Obviously with email, there is no audit trail. And so what I'm going to do as the person who owns the risk and needs to resolve it, I'm going to click here and add my mitigation plan. So this takes me into my portal. And as you can see, it tells me what the finding is. It gives me the information that has been populated by the risk manager. And the first thing it's going to do then is ask me if I'll be able to mitigate by the due date. The due date in Cyber One defaults to 30 days from the creation of the finding, but this can be changed and customized depending on the requirements of your organization. So my options here are to click yes and create a risk mitigation plan, or if I don't believe I can mitigate by the due date, I can go straight to exception request and click no. But I'm going to click yes for now and add my mitigation plan. So now as you can see, it brings us into our mitigation record. I add my mitigation plan, write down my notes. I want to first add the expected completion date and make sure that I'm going to be within the time frame, as you can see. And if I need to, I can upload any additional files to help verify the mitigation plan. And if I want to, I can also add special notes to the risk manager, who will then be able to read these notes in the finding record once this mitigation plan is submitted. So I add those comments there. And just a few other things, I can see who this has come from. So this is someone I can reach out to if I need to, if I really have additional questions. That's optional in CyberOne. And again, this is me here. This is my record here, knowing that I am the person doing the mitigation plan. So now when I'm ready, I just click submit. It just gives me a fair warning. And then once I submit, you can see now that the mitigation plan still remains open because I haven't attested to completion. So that actually means that I can come back in here and edit this. Say if the risk manager responds to my comments and wants me to add something, I can do that while this is still in submission. And or if I realize that I'm not going to be able to mitigate by the due date, I can then change this to an exception request. Okay, so then once I'm actually ready, I can attest to completion. If I've finished the mitigation, I'll come back to this plan again. I'll click I'm ready to attest to completion and do that. I set the date that I have finished and then submit. And now you can see that because I've submitted this as a finished plan, the finding is closed and I'm no longer able to change this plan or add an exception request. So now the risk manager is going to review this, and only the risk manager can reopen the finding if there's a problem and or require you to change the mitigation plan again or submit an exception request. Okay, so let's go back into our platform. And now we'll see that the finding that I created as a risk manager has now got a finding response, and the finding is closed because I've attested to completion of the mitigation plan. So first thing I want to do as the risk manager probably is go into this record, and from here I can actually see the risk mitigation. Here I see that I've got a risk mitigation response. And then if I come down into the record, I can actually open that risk mitigation plan and I can review it in here. So here I see what the mitigation plan is. And as the risk manager, what I want to do is assign myself to this finding, to this risk mitigation plan, excuse me. And then I can add any notes. So if I'm going to accept it, I can pass it like this, and then I want to validate that just to actually close out the loop. So again, if this is accepted, now we're ready and I can click save and the finding will remain closed. However, if I decide that I have not accepted this and I want to fail it or give it needs improvement, then when I click save, you'll notice that the mitigation plan has been reopened. And if I go back to the finding record, you'll also see that it's been reopened here. So that will kick off another notification back to the risk owner to actually go in and mitigate again. So if we go back to our email, you'll see again that the finding has been reopened. And as the risk owner, what I want to do then is go back. It's going to take me to my original risk mitigation plan, as you can see. And I have the option to either update the plan according to the risk manager's comments, or again, I can now change it to an exception request. And I can say I need more time to get this document together. Justify it. And then again, I put the expected resolution date. I submit that back to the risk manager. Now, when the risk manager comes back into the system, we see that this has been changed to an exception request. And so at this point, what the risk manager would do, we see the exception request is open because now we have an approval process. And we can go into that exception request. We can review it, and then we can submit it for approval to the reviewer. Sorry, we have to add the reviewer first. And then submit for approval. And then assuming that is approved, the risk owner will be able to complete the exception request, or if it's denied, they can either go into an extension format or will be asked to, or the risk manager will decide what to do with the risk. They'll either accept the risk or they'll create a new finding and go through the process again. So again, just to finish up, you can see all of your risk here, all of your issues here as they come in and monitor their status. Or we can also create continuous monitoring dashboards for you. If we go into our dashboard section here we have one that's related to risk management. But as you can see, we can build out all of your findings by different category, by different status, and measure those. And as the data changes in the findings tab, as it's updated, as risk mitigation plans or exception requests come in, these dashboards will update in real time for you. So you always know the status of your risk across the business environment. Okay, so that concludes our training for today. Thank you for choosing CyberOne.